Good morning, world. Welcome to the Ryback morning chat, usually on Twitch, but I'm throwing it on YouTube today. Throwing it on YouTube as well. We'll wait for some people to start showing up in here. And show up on the StreamYard. Let's go right here. All right. And I have a few ideas. We're bouncing around as far as the Ryback show goes. I want to get your guys' thoughts this morning because I really, really like doing these morning chats. Good morning, everybody. We are live on Twitch and YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can send out a quick notification. Hope everyone's having a good morning thus far. It's not letting me. All right. How's everyone doing? We're broadcasting on both platforms today. Usually do about an hour. We made maybe 45 to 60 today if we can. I was getting some work done. And I got a few ideas. We got our Shooting Blanks Wrestling Report live. Me and Raj Giri, we're going to be doing every Friday, which is tomorrow at 10 a.m., going over the weekly wrestling news and different topics going around. But I'm also floating around the idea, because I've been doing these Ryback morning chats on Twitch, and I go, man, you know, I think in this day and age, recorded shows it's so hard with how quick news happens. I was going, what if I turned the Ryback show into the Ryback show live and do like a Monday through even Friday deal and just record before I record with Raj, because I'm up usually at 5 something anyways, and figure out a time every week and do the Ryback show live. But then I would go, well, what would I do with my audio show, the Ryback show? Because one of the problems I'm having and one of the biggest stressors in my life right now is organizing guests with my schedule and everything I'm doing. It's getting more and more complicated. And I go, well, I love doing the show and I've evolved the show. And I go, well, what if it's just more of a fan interactive show that I do every morning? We discuss whatever we discuss. And maybe I take one of those episodes and throw it up on the audio every week. I don't know. So I'm curious on some of your guys' thoughts. If you would think the Ryback show live every day, every morning, answering questions, talking about life, I think that may be a way to kind of evolve the show moving forward, because it would keep everything very fresh and current right away. Whereas, you know, recording a show and putting it out the following week, which is great. I like it for the interviews or the conversations, but there tends to be the lag time, obviously, with days that go by in between when you record, when you put the content out. And then on top of that, getting everything with the editing teams and then getting it back and getting it published. And the bit I get with Feed Me More Nutrition and my workouts, I have something in me is telling me go live each and every morning. Go live with the people, big guy. What's on your minds today, guys? Let's get things fired up. Oh, I don't speak good German, buddy. You don't want to hear the big guy speak German. I think we were in France, and I was babyface, and I remember I tried to recite. I had it memorized, but I tried to recite some French, and I botched it so bad. The crowd, we laughed together really, really hard. It was pretty funny. That popped in my head though, because I did it a couple places and actually did it and came off well, or what I interpreted to be well, based off the reaction. Like the people appreciated it. France, we all just laughed. I knew I botched it. What do we got up here? New member Craig. Welcome, Craig. And questions? Anything going on here today? I put out a tweet congratulating Chris Jericho on 30 years. And I meant every word when I said he was the best top guy in and out of the ring that I got to work with, and I truly mean that. in which he actually just mentioned something again. He's mentioned it multiple times about wanting to work me at WrestleMania 29. And everything was in the works already to kind of derail all of that momentum. And as you know, Vince wouldn't allow it. And then Vince wanted me, because they brought me into a meeting, or I'll never forget, it was after the creative meeting, and everything was red hot, but they'd had me losing pay-per-views. So I think I lost 7 straight while I was in that top babyface spot, or one of the top babyface spots, which didn't make any sense, but he kept getting bigger and bigger, which I think kind of perplexed them. And then so they go, well, we're going to take everything away and turn you heel. And it was explained to me that was so you could really, really, really become a more well-rounded worker. You need to have a good run as a heel. And okay, cool. And the way it was explained was it was going to be to elevate me into that heavyweight championship spot as a heel. And the first one I thought was, we had Mark Henry, and at that WrestleMania 29, anyone that's ever seen that, it is what it is. But the falling on my face and it was just really odd. And then coming back and then spine busting them and shell shocking them. And then so losing the match and then being the number one contender made no sense. And I was upset, and I tried talking to Vince for quite a while that day, and at WrestleMania, and because I couldn't get a hold of them all week. It was, and what we were told, the finish of the match switched like 2 days or 1 day before. Finley, I remember when he said the finish, me and Mark were both kind of like, what? And because Mark they weren't building Mark up for anything at that time outside. So it was just kind of like, you just go, okay, I need to talk to Vince. And then he explained it to me at WrestleMania. He goes, this is going to be your first excuse as a heel, as a big monster heel, that you failed. You fell on your face at the big stage. And I just say, that sounds like a horrible thing. We never once addressed that, by the way. And it was just a way to I think it was supposed to be a way to embarrass me and make people think that I was at the big WrestleMania stage, that I was this huge failure. That backfired as well, because the next night on Raw, when I turned on Cena, it was the loudest reaction that I'd gotten, or one of the loudest reactions up to that point. And then we'll go, okay. Vince came up to me and he goes, that's when Vince, the following, I think, week or two, he goes, we're taking away all your merchandise, because my merchandise actually kept going up. He goes, we're taking away all your merchandise. And I go, okay. Well, I go, why don't you just take away Feed Me More Than Two? Kind of being half-ass sarcastic, but also, well, if you're going to just take everything away, let's not ruin Feed Me More also, which was, I don't want to be chanting that if I'm, we're taking everything away. What if we're going a different route? Which is where I kind of started the Ryback rules, because I had to come up with something. And and it never really, it kind of was the downfall from there as far as at that level. And then there'd come other points where we'd come back up, but it was never, ever, ever replicated as far as what we had, as far as what I would perceive to be lightning in a bottle based off the main events for that year and the arenas and the crowd interactions. But I always take it, a lot of that, I'll never bitch and whine about it. I take it as a positive, because it made me who I am. As far as now, my drive of having control of my life for me, and learning that never to make your goals dependent on other people. And that was one of the mistakes I also made when I was doing a lot of media. They would ask you what your goals were, and I would be very honest and transparent, as I always am with things. And I remember I was very vocal in a positive way that winning the WWE Championship was one of my big goals, and having it on my vision board. And that was a huge mistake, because when you work for a company that knows what your goals are, they know how to toy with you on that. And even though you would say, well, that's everyone's goal. Yes and no, it isn't everyone's goal. And it was a very realistic goal that I think a lot of people thought was going to happen multiple times. But it was a very big learning experience in my life of taking control, and where I am now. It was such a positive. I couldn't let it eat me up and then just like, oh, I failed. I know I didn't fail. The difference between winning a championship prop and not winning a championship prop is just simply showing up to the arena, and in that meeting, them deciding the finish is going the other way, and then a producer coming over to you and telling you you're going over tonight. That's the only difference. And so I just simply look at it. You're just playing roles. and you're just asked to play a different role. You're not being asked to play the role of the quote unquote winner for that evening. So it's impossible to actually fail in pro wrestling as far as that goes, and what some people will say. Now you could say, and you can go, well, you failed at the main event, and then you can go, well, okay, prove that to me. Let's take the measures, these things that we use to see if somebody's getting over, and you can go, oh, well, pay-per-view buy rate. You actually were one of the last superstars that drew a buy rate that increased. You look at that, you're like, well, okay. You look, well, what about your merchandise? Well, number 2 merchandise seller in the company during that period, only because they wanted to allow me to become number 1 by giving more, because they limited the amount of merch that we were selling. So you look at the numbers, though, and this is all stuff I was privy to and able to see, which, again, certain people didn't want me seeing. But you go, well, okay, so that's in place. So the only real thing, the difference is just showing up to the arena that day and getting a different outcome. So that's why I have the confidence I have, because I know I've done everything correctly. And I know my work ethic and my determination and my passion and what I put in. So that's why I've been able to take that and apply it to different things and have success outside of that, because I don't let the role that I play determine my future, as a lot of people can in wrestling. A lot of guys that are quote unquote what fans like to call, or the marks like to call, jobbers, they sometimes let that become their identity. And I think that's the worst thing you could do. Absolutely. They selected certain people. It is what it is. That's the business model. And that's why I got out. I don't agree with the business model. They're more than, it's their business. They're allowed to do it the way they want. But I got into wrestling to be the biggest star possible, and not to have my creativity, just squashed that time and time again. And that's why I'm having so much fun now, like on YouTube, on Ryback TV, is I love improv and just having fun. You can't write for me on that. I can read your lines all day long, but there's nothing. Nobody could write for my personality. I can tell you, WWE. You would talk to the guys. They think they know you. They don't know. They don't know Jack. I would see it on the writing, and I would like. It was always the insatiable appetite. I'm hungry. Yeah, that's part of it. We could also. There's this huge sense of humor that we're failing to capitalize on. And the only way we can capitalize on that is to let me be witty and to actually just react. You can't write humor down on paper and say, go out there and like make this funny. That comes through natural character build up on being on screen and being allowed to improv. My opinion. Really wish this would stay update. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate you guys tuning into the morning Ryback chat. Let's pull that up on the screen here. What do the Viper says, big guy, what do you think of John Cena? We talk about John a lot, guys, and we'll get to the super chat up here for $24.99. Thank you very much, guys. I've never said a bad thing about John Cena from in the ring standpoint. He was one of my favorite wrestlers to work with in the ring. As we progressed our relationship of wrestling, he would come up to me when we'd be paired together at different shows later on, and he'd be like, what do you want to do? If you ever hear how John puts together matches, when you first start working with John, it's give me 3 or 4 moves that you do, and then you go out there, you shut up, you listen, and you learn how to work at a main event level on getting a massive reaction. And John is great at that. Personally, we had issues. I talked about it. And again, it's a very competitive industry. The 2 guys I did not get along with, as far as, and I say get along, and it was nothing on my end outside of just going out there and getting over. It was more on the other end of not liking that, which then created issues. And if you know me, I don't put up with bullshit. So if that is the tone that starts coming at me, well, I change my tone really quickly as well. But John, it was John and Punk were the 2, if you guys noticed, and it was the top 2 spots that I was fighting for there with those guys. Even though Punk was heel, John was babyface, it was more fighting for that top babyface spot and working with John every night and crowds chanting "Feed me more." And the WWE security team at the time, who I was one guy that used to live down the road from me, that was one of Vince's guys at the time. And he would tell me, he goes, John's not happy with your reactions. And I just remember thinking, I go, well, why not? Like, to me, I just come from an athletic background. I love wrestling. And I'm just like, well, I just have a different view of the business that if somebody's getting red hot, I will work harder to try to stay over or creatively come up with new ways to match that. If they beat me, they beat me. I don't care. Like at the end of the day, then it's better for business, which is what's missing from wrestling, rather than, well, let's be shady and find ways to squash this so we can stay comfortable in the position that we're at. That was my issue with John, which I said one a long time ago, many years ago, when I said he was a poison to the business, a cancer to the business. I meant it in that sense. But in the ring, you're going to be hard pressed to find a guy that understands how to get a reaction out of the crowd time and time again consistently, and even a crowd that wants to hate him. And again, for a lot of the way of the business, and it's Vince's call at the end of the day to run the business like that and to just have a generic top baby face in that position, which from a financial standpoint, but John would always work so hard in the matches, and that's one thing I'll never ever knock him on. And he was always able to turn those crowds and keep them, where they were clapping at the end of the night. So that's my thoughts on John. And I wish him success and everything. It was not it's just more of there was some personal things. And it is what it is at that level. I think, when you get guys around each other outside of the business and wrestling is taking out of it, I think most guys get along pretty well. Thank you for the great question. Let's get to this super chat up here for $24.99. Tommy Truth. Let's get this on the screen. Let me see. I don't know how to pop it on the screen from, I got to go up and find the comment here now. Let's get the question from Tommy Truth, see if I can see it anywhere. There it is right there. All right. Show. There we go. Tommy Truth, the big guy. I hated your character while you were there. Then I saw how dope of a person and how they didn't use you properly. And it made me sad and upset that I quit WWE. Stay dope yourself. Thank you very much, Tommy Truth. I greatly appreciate that. And there's a lot of people, on my Ryback TV, there's one of the things that makes me really happy is when I see people that say they hated me or they were not necessarily a fan of me based off my WWE character, but then they took the time to get to know me, or they'd read all these things on dirt sheets and then took the time to actually get to know me and realize that it was the complete opposite. And I say thank you for the people that give me a chance on that, because there are a lot of lies, unfortunately, out there. Kip, what do I think of Kip Sabian? I've heard of him and I've watched him through AEW, and I'm curious to see how the story unfolds with him and the best man, Miro. But I think I like Kip because he seems to have character, and I think as long as you are working on your character, over time that will become more and more known to the crowd, and it takes time to get to know a bunch of new people. Thank you very much. And a lot of people, guys, the comments, I get the DMs and the fan mail are so overwhelmingly positive. There's negative on social media from what people can sometimes see, but the positive is it's 99 to 1. It's so much more. And it's just the negative tends to happen on public social media more. Let's see. Have you thought about new entrance music? I had a couple theme songs done, but I do have something in mind, and it would be very, because let's not make any mistakes about it. I love my WWE Feed Me More theme. I thought that was as badass and very fitting, and from the lyrics, everything. And I don't want to stray horribly far away from that. And because that worked. It worked. It worked all the time. This wasn't a case where a guy get fired. I walked away on my own, and nothing was broken about Ryback. It was all backstage stuff and over the lawsuit with my ankle injury, and so I just had to get my health back, and I built up my brand and Feed Me More Nutrition, and I'm really, really excited after these final stem cells to show the world that I'm going to come back. I'm going to look better than I've ever looked. And it's not going to be a situation of a guy that left at 34 and comes back at 38 or 39, most likely 39 at that time. And it's going to be like, holy shit, this guy looks exactly the same physically. He doesn't look like he's aged. and he's fucking moving better than ever. That's my goal. And to be able to show the real Ryback as far as what you guys have seen from the moment I've left, from my entire personality, that when the red light is on and you're in that ring, whether you're in the octagon, you're in the ring, or you're in any fight situation, that I could be the baddest man on the planet in that very moment. You could also have every other emotion covered. You could be funny, you could be witty, you could be emotional at times. You could be a well-rounded character, which is what I've spent my time doing, because I lost the ability to be able to work on a physical sense while I got my health back, and have been blessed to do so. So I've taken this time to condition the audience to understand that this guy can do a lot of different things, become more emotionally invested in me that wrestling could never give me. So I did it on my own. That when I go back into that TV setting under a different umbrella, it's going to be even bigger than we could have imagined, and even far bigger than what it was on that very original Feed Me More run, which by the way, there's nothing wrong with being a very serious character. On that, there's a shelf life on that, though. And I had my best success with the limited writing and just going out there and being hungry and destroying people. That works. But if you could take that element of that and mix it in with everything I'm doing, I think it's a grand slam time and time again. My opinion. Let's see. My wife, Melissa, I don't know. She's got to really, if anyone has any advice on how to get rid of that stuff online, it would really be appreciated. B40, what's up? B40 in the house. Read some more questions here. You get the find your 4 kids from the sewer patch. Do you like Roman Reigns? Let's see. Who was one of SDG Gaming asks, who was one of the most undeserving wrestlers and who underperformed? Love the content, big guy. Let me see. I don't know. You know, anyone at that level that makes it to WWE, or as far as what we're talking about, that would be my experience of knowing. I would never say that anyone was undeserving. Anyone who makes it to TV has done something and had to put in some level of work and effort to get there. Now, you might say some people are luckier than others. Well, I would go, well, luck is also dependent on your mindset. So they're doing something right. So I would never take that away from anyone as far as saying someone was undeserving. I really like Sheamus a lot. Yes, I've always respected Sheamus, and Sheamus has a fantastic work ethic. Since I've met him and known him from Florida Championship Wrestling, he was one of the first guys I remember seeing when I moved into my apartment down in Florida. But I remember when I got rehired after being at OVW and then being fired in developmental and getting rehired, a little under a couple of years later, I wasn't as familiar with the FCW product, the Florida Championship Wrestling product, as I had been, because I kind of got away from watching and keeping up, at least with developmental. I was watching, Raw and SmackDown on TV still when I could. And I remember seeing Sheamus instantly and thinking, like, that guy's going to be a big star. He just had a different look to him than anything I'd ever seen with the Irish background, and was a big, huge, jacked up guy. And back then, guys were a lot bigger too than today's wrestlers even. And that's kind of changed all throughout the years. But he just stood out. And we've always been able to talk, and we've gotten along. And me and him have really good in-ring chemistry, because I think we both know how to bring it. And I wish we could have had some decent, lengthy programs on WWE. I think they would have been very, very good. Yeah. Let me see. I kind of knew what was going on, by the way. This is from Joseph Payne, 32. With your career was going in WWE, what was Vincent like on off the set? Since is he like people say he is? So Vincent, Vince seemed like he always really liked me, and from everything I've been told and in my experiences with him, it was just, you got to understand, this guy is a master at lying. But he's going to tell you, he's dealing with, you get too big for your own good sometimes. And but the whole environment. This is what I'm just going to compare this to. If you hear anybody talk about the AEW environment and how positive and good it is, the reason it's like that is because it comes from the top down. When you hear about the negativity and all this other stuff and the backstabbing and all the political BS in WWE, it comes from the top down. You created the environment. You're responsible for it. And oftentimes WWE will try to pass that off as that's not the case. That is the case. It's the case every single time, 100% of the time in any business. How the business is operated from the top, it's trickled down. It's not that you're this angel doing all this good at the top, and then you got all these shady people. Why would this angel at the top, who's this good-hearted, loving, positive person, have all these backstabbing pieces of crap underneath them? It makes no sense, right? So I always got along with him well. I lost a lot of respect for him after my ankle injury and they tried to fire me. And then I lost almost all respect. I would say nearly all respect after they forced me to drop my multi-million-dollar lawsuit while I got put in the main event with Punk. They threatened, they go off the record. They literally threatened my main event spot. They threatened my job if I didn't drop the lawsuit. And they said that, and this was off the record, and I wanted to fulfill my dream, and I was in the spot where I finally was going to make money, and I go, there's no way they're going to, ruin this. I'll make more money being in this position with the way that we're going, over time, than taking this millions from this lawsuit for this ankle situation, which would have just been added on wrestling, which never should have been able to be taken away. And the moment the statute of limitations ran up on that, that's when they started screwing with my career. And a lot of fans, they think it's all creative. My frustrations are from that because I deal with that ankle injury to this day and all my injuries, and they've disappeared. So it's a very frustrating situation. It doesn't mean that he's not a great businessman, but when you're dealing with human lives, you have a responsibility to take care of human lives. And and I'm not even saying going out of your way. Just don't be a piece of crap about it. I'm trying not to cuss. Saying piece of crap sounds really, really wimpy, but not cussing has helped my YouTube algorithm out a lot. Let's see if we got any new comments. But this is the Ryback morning chat, guys. I usually do these on Twitch here, but I'm thinking about maybe moving the Ryback show to the Ryback show live and doing this show every Monday through Friday, early morning with you guys on here for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour every day. I would be really curious on your feedback on that if you guys think that would be something you're interested in. I like Mark Henry and Roman Reigns. I think that they're both great. I've worked with Mark a lot. I've worked with Roman a lot. Nothing but positive, kind things to say. They were always respectful and great people, as I thought I was with them. Phoenix Murray, I just texted her this morning. I got the new 2020 Pocky chips in, so we're going to be recording that. We need to do another podcast with her. I'm trying to decide, though, like I told you guys, I'm really, really tempted to adjust the Ryback show to the Ryback show live and do it on here every morning because of the way that everything is happening. Recording content is getting harder. If you're not recording and getting it out instantly, it's detrimental how much fresh content's being put out daily. I think doing the Ryback show live may be the next evolution of my podcast. Let's see here. Thank you very much, guys. Hunter, great question on Paul Heyman here. Wait. Oh, Doug, this just a little tip. You should stream on Twitch. I am also, buddy. I'm on there now. I'm Ryback Rules on Twitch, you guys. If you can follow me, I'm streaming games at night. And also, hold on. Where did the question on Paul Heyman go? Anyways, I can't see it. These things happen so fast on here. It was, what were my thoughts on being a Paul Heyman guy? I would have loved working with Paul because Paul is really creative. Paul does have good ideas. I wish Paul would have been in it for me and him, not for him and Punk. And that was why that was not going anywhere. It was a limited thing, only to keep Paul on TV for Paul. And it was a way for him to progress his feud with Punk that they had going on at the time because he'd gotten all that he wanted to get out of Curtis Axel. That came to an end, and he needed something to buy another 2, 3, 4 months with. And that was, they took me out of the bully position, which was actually finally getting heat and working. was brought in to get a couple more main event matches or top matches with Punk. After that, why I call that my real punishment period. That there was just nothing going on. I remember when we found out that, and I wanted to. I heard Paul say something in the ring, and he kind of buried us, and I was furious. And I went off on Paul that night. This was in England. This is a true story. Me, Paul, and Axel. I just had beer after beer after beer, which Paul paid for everyone. And on what a piece of second to the angle, and that he was with Punk. Punk was walking in circles around. Punk wouldn't do a thing. He was scared. Punk didn't know what to do. Punk would go off on certain like lower level talents, and when he thought he can get away with it with his little power trips, he would never ever try that with me. Paul had a butter knife in his hand the whole time, fumbling it around because he was so nervous. And I was ready at any moment. I was like, well, if this is going to turn sour, I'm ready. Him and Punk together, it's like fighting Hornswoggle. Like, I'm not too concerned about it, and butter knife or not. But I got out everything I needed to say. We went our separate ways. Over time, I was able to talk to Paul again, and everything was fine. But trust-wise, I would never work with him ever again, unless it's me against him. And then, but I would also know. I also learned. I got thrown to the Shark Tank, politic-wise, dealing very quickly in my career. One with Cena and one with Punk, who operate two different ways. But I got a lot of experience out of that, and I survived it. Which a lot of guys today don't even understand that. Those guys had some old school in them from who they worked with before, and which got passed over to me, which I'm probably one of the few guys that has that inside him that understands. Granted, I don't think you should do business like that all the time, but it is what it is. I have no ill feelings though with Punk anyway. I wish him the best. I don't agree with anything that he said on any of it. It is what it is, guys. It's not. It's karma's dealt him his fate, and I wish him all the best. I think outside of wrestling, we get along a lot better than maybe even me and him even realize or what people would think. Get back to your ninth period study hall. See if we can take this off the screen here. I got to get better at getting these questions removed once they. Is there a button to remove the question from here? There's not. Let's see. Harlan says, in my opinion, they severely hampered Axel by naming him Michael McGillicuddy. He never fully recovered. He should have just been Joe Henning or J.C. Henning. I agree. Michael McGillicuddy, I don't think was destined for greatness. Having a name like that, and I know having a name like Skip Sheffield, I knew I had to get away from that. Luckily, my ankle injury got me away from it. But I've talked about this enough. Joe's a really nice guy. Joe's a great guy. The wrestling business is not necessarily. There's a group of guys in this where we just go with the flow. You have your family, you're making money, not making nowhere what they should be, but where you know what he grew up around the business. He knows what he knows from his father, and and it is what it is. But I think he was on the other end of political stuff because of his dad. And I don't know with Hunter or with Vince if there was heat. I always felt like they held something against him, and it sucks because he was capable of so much more. Our period together as Rybaxel, there's so much great content together backstage. They would not allow it to show because they didn't want us to get over. We'd go out with no ring entrance, but if we worked live events, we would routinely get one of the loudest heel reactions of the night, and it was man. It just never matched up because it didn't carry over to TV all the time. We contended for the tag titles. We'd go over on matches still, but it was definitely a downgrade from how I was being used. But I always thank Axel because he took 99.9% of the finishes, and they would always. That's how I knew I was being punished because they didn't want me to take the pinfalls. They wanted me to be a part of it. And they would always specifically go, Vince has asked Axel to take the finish. So every once in a while on a live event, I would take a finish. So Axel didn't have to, but only a few thousand people would see it, not millions. I love Axe, man. He's one of my favorite. I sung him happy birthday the other day. If I had a manager, out of all the managers, you know who I'd want? Armando Estrada. Me and him, I was just talking to him last night. We get along so well, man. And I loved the Armando Estrada character. He's such a witty, funny guy, and like we just get along really well. He would be fun to travel with. I'm sure I'd want to kill him from time to time with his stupid ribs, but I think he's man. It sucks that he's out of the business. I think Armando Estrada has a lot to offer still, especially he's not wrestling as a manager. You can go forever with that. Welcome to everybody joining the Ryback morning chat. There's a lot of things going on. Thinking of moving the Ryback show. Get off of my screen. Got a lot of stuff that's now blocking the questions. The pop-up, one of the antivirus things on this laptop has popped up, and it only gives me the option to buy. It does not want to give me the option to close. See if we can't update these questions. Why does Vince hate small guys? I don't know that I don't know. He's a weird dude, man. I don't know what to everyone has their own preferences. Like Hunter hates other jacked guys. Hunter likes guys that are smaller than him because it makes him feel bigger, which I understand in a way. You can't run business like that. Like, you gotta, I don't know. Everyone, you guys, it's their company. Everyone's human. Everyone has their own preferences on what they like. It's just, sometimes when you're dealing with business, you're just like, why don't we just make as big as stars as possible? But wrestling is literally the easiest to make stars. All you got to do is let guys go there and try. Then you just start organically running with it once you see a result, positive direction. It's not like we're in fighting. The guy has to actually win. Wrestling has control over all of it. It's crazy how they've gone out of their way not to create megastars, which is my biggest issue with the business. I believe I can keep doing what I'm doing on YouTube, be a bigger star than anybody in wrestling today within the next 5 years, the way that everything is going. Because the world of YouTube is way bigger than the world of pro wrestling. Now, ultimately, I want to combine the two of them, which I'm getting ready to hit 250,000 subscribers in just over a little bit of a year. And that was with the account suppressed all year from WWE, which I hired an outside company, and we are now rocking and rolling again. So we're back on the path, the goal to get to 1 million. What's up, guys? Good to see you guys. Do you see AEW giving health insurance and continuing to take good care of their wrestlers? I think AEW is going to lead the charge on the future of the wrestling business. It's going to take time for them to continue to roll things out. I would love to see AEW implement a very strict drug testing policy as well. That would allow, obviously for the therapeutic exemption with TRT and TRT, HRT monitored strictly by a doctor, board certified endocrinologist, where it keeps people in the healthy ranges. Because most men nowadays in their 30s, everyone should be, as far as men, especially with the foods and the way everything is, and on some normal with the normal testosterone levels. But I would like to see them implement a strict drug testing policy. I think that's one thing they are missing. And I say that very positively, that I think they are going to implement that in time. Because I think wrestlers could be their own worst enemies. And there are definitely some guys that, if they were maybe under a WWE umbrella, would not be passing drug tests right now. And I say that for their own health. That's the way wrestling has been. I think that needs to be implemented at some time. Again, not my business. But for me, for someone looking at that place as a prospective place that I would like to possibly go in the future, from a health standpoint, I would like to see that implemented. India, love India, man. Been there multiple times. I'll never forget years ago on the podcast. That's when I knew the dangers of podcasting. People, I made a joke because with the Jinder Mahal, then they were, I think, putting the championship on him. And I made a joke that Vince didn't understand that India was poor I'd say in the context of there's like it's really, really rich and there's really poor. A lot of the there though, this is things that when I was in India that they told me they had to make stuff cheaper there than it was in other places because people the amount of money that they had overall there. And I made a joke about that. Vince just didn't realize that India didn't have any money, and it was after kind of explaining all of that, like his joking like voice. And then it was Ryback says India's poor or something. I remember it got taken so far out of what I go, man, this is so bad how the people want to like just take something. And I love India. I've been there multiple times. I even came out and said I love India. And they still, people like write these things. And it's like, guys, listen to things in their entirety. And I'm speaking from my experience of going over there alone, working with the video game and the merchandising team and getting inside information on what's going on in India. It's not like I'm just speaking out of my ass on the topic, but you always are going to get people that want to write the negative headlines. And all I ask is just give me a shot and listen. You're not always going to maybe always agree with everything, even though I can tell you I've never told you anything wrong on that as far as I go. And if I ever do, I'll fucking admit it. I don't care about being wrong. Like, if I would manage any wrestler, who would I manage? I'd like to manage Bailey. I think managing Bailey would be fun for a while. I think she's super talented. I really do. Oh, we got another super chat here. Super chats are always encouraged, guys. Throw the money at the big guy. Death by Giggity says, "Did you check out the Wild Wing Cafe's super spicy Braveheart wings?" Not yet, because I've been eating vegan for like 2.5 weeks now. Actually over a month altogether, but I did do a couple cheat meals on Ryback TV. But I will check that out, Death by Giggity. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ryback morning chat on Twitch at Ryback Rules. Guys, I became an affiliate over there and within a matter of days. The account is growing. My goal is to pass Miro Twitch, who has 60,000 followers, I believe. I'm not sure on his sub count, which I got to get all that set up on my end today. But let's get past him because Miro's the best man, and I want to be the best man. I'm just kidding. Everyone go follow Miro Twitch on YouTube though, and Twitch. He's killing it right now. Trust me, guys. I would love to have cameras around me and film content nonstop. Running a business is really difficult with Feed Me More Nutrition and doing emails and overseeing fulfillment and customer service. On top of getting my health back and training for hours every day and taking care of my dog Sophie, who just ruptured her 8th disc in 2.5 years. I'm human. Like life happens to me as well as anybody else. I don't walk around in the singlet 24/7 with no problems. I have problems just like everyone else. I do my best to shift out of the negative as quickly as possible. And I always keep working morning to night. That's the one thing, no matter what's going on in my life, I know that as long as I keep moving, if I'm having a bad day, there's a good chance I'm going to wake up the next day and it's going to be better. So. What would be a dream match you would make with all the promotions? I think me and Kenny Omega have what Dave Meltzer would call a 5-star match. But it would legit be above that because there would actually be storytelling in place too. And Meltzer would have a meltdown because he would want to give it 5 stars for Kenny, probably 6. But he hates me so much for whatever his deal is with me because I'm good looking, jacked, and a phenomenal hybrid power pro wrestler that he never could hack it at that he would want to give me 1 star. But he doesn't. He loves Kenny so much he has to give the match 5 stars. And so that would be my dream match all around, just for the ultimate satisfaction of watching Meltzer give me 5 stars. Keith Lee, I'm very happy to see him on the roster. I think Keith has a very promising upside. He's again in that bit. I think the business model needs to change a bit for Keith to be as big as he could possibly be, though. I've answered questions the entire time. Paul, how are you doing? Any update on Elliot and Feed Me? No, guys. So again, we're going to address this right here. So I got so much hate for a few days. By the way, a lot of love as well. A lot of misinformed hate from negative Cowboy fans or people that read an article from TMZ, which TMZ emailed me and put the thing out before I could even respond to them, saying that I was going to sue the guy. I don't have to sue anybody. I own Feed Me More. And I tell people, this is all through the trademark office. He's the bad guy in all of this. I'm simply protecting my brand and my business in three different categories that I have that he's trying to underhand and go and try and get involved on. And people will go, well, Feed Me is entirely different than Feed Me More. Okay, genius. What are the two main words of Feed Me More? If you guys in the comments, please, if you guys had to pick the two most important words of Feed Me More, what are the two most important words? Do you think it's me more? Do you think it's feed more? Or do you think maybe the two most important words are feed me? And that maybe the word more is the universal word that makes feed me be able to be applied to anything. Right? But you got people that, and so he's going to get shut down by the trademark office. I'm not even going to have to do anything. But by chance that they somehow were to get an approval, we would just appeal it. It would cost me a few $100, maybe $500 or $600, and I'll lock it up in the trademark office. We would prove that he's infringing on the brand, causing confusion with the brand Feed Me More, and it would be denied. And that's that. We're saying I'm suing him, and then I'm getting people thinking, oh, this former wrestler is broke and going after this multi-million-dollar football player. That's all lies. So everyone's just getting upset over lies. So that's where that situation is. I wish the guy the best, but I was like, man, come up. You could get a tattoo of Feed Me. You could say Feed Me. Why not do Feed Zeke? Why are you trying to take another trademark who he's a wrestling fan and he's aware how popular that was and will continue to be as my brand grows? So it is what it is. I wish him the best, but it's like I'm not the bad guy in the situation, and it's. I think it's really, really, really. It's just what's the exact word I'm looking for? It's just he could be better than that, man. People go, well, Feed Me means Feed Zeke the Ball. Well, why didn't he trademark Feed Zeke the Ball? If he wants a brand, Feed Zeke, that will probably get approved because it's different on the fact that it's very specific towards him. When you're taking the brand Feed Me, and I am the brand Feed Me More, Feed Me is the brand's two main words. So it's not, I have a pretty decent understanding of the trademark laws and how they're protective against brands. I don't see this going anywhere. And I won't be shocked if he eventually just goes back to Feed Zeke. Yeah, and they're also last in rushing percentage. So he's not saying anything right now. And also those Cowboy fans that were chiming in, they're also not saying anything right now. I wish them all the best, though. I honestly never had any issues. But if you're going to try to take my brand, if you think I'm going to sit back and just like, yeah, go ahead. Oh, more power to you, brother. Like, hell no. Sorry. You're dealing with the big guy Ryback and your ass is about to get shell shocked. I can't cuss. I almost cussed again. I got to be careful on here. We don't want the YouTube algorithm to knock me off. Welcome to the Ryback morning chat. I feel like these are going to be the way to go moving forward. No, I would not go back to WWE. Honestly, it's so personal at this point. And right now, like having to pay, like what I'm going to have to pay an attorney fees for the Ryback trademark that expired on them, that was supposed to be handed over to me, and then they renewed it just to make me pay. It's not. I have a lot of information, a lot of dirt on that company, and I made a tweet the other day that sometimes you got to throw on the black suit to destroy the greater evil, and what I'm referring to is the black Spider-Man suit. And I'm not afraid to throw that on because my goal in this is after my ankle injury and what they did to me. And I was very vocal where I said I want to make the wrestling business better. And the only way you could do that is by speaking up on the issues over and over and over again. And I can deal with hate all day long because the hate's coming from people that are irrelevant into life, my life, and they're not going to they're not happy with themselves to begin with. They're not going to stop me. I know what my goals are. I know what the end goal is with all this. So I know that I have to continue to speak because I'm doing the work on my end to build that and make that a possibility. But and it sucks to say that. I know my following there and the people. I love the fans so much. And I say fans, and I mean all the good fans, the loving, caring fans that just enjoy life, enjoy wrestling, and appreciate the wrestlers for everything they do for themselves. I don't like people that put the WWE brand above the wrestlers. And I think that's a mistake that some fans make, and that the reason why that brand is even supported up is from the wrestlers. Now, you could say it's a give and take relationship that the wrestlers, you say, well, the wrestlers aren't who they are without WWE. Well, they would be somebody still. There's other brands. The WWE would not be who they are without all the men and women who sacrifice themselves, who get treated worse than anybody, other employees there. They're independent contractors that are treated like jailed, prisoned employees. It's not good. It's not good. But you got to be in it to experience Shawshank. You got to be in Shawshank. And I knew I had to create my own wealth outside of the business to be able to speak as freely as I wanted to on it and have no worries. But it's all for the better good. And that's why I'm really happy to see AEW. I am pulling for them 110% because I think they're going to force WWE to change their business model over time. If you guys also, the people on Twitch at Ryback Rules, if you can go into other streams and let people know that Ryback is on Twitch and that he rules, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, guys. I can't wait to be back in the ring. The one thing I miss more than anything is the adrenaline and the reaction from the people. And being able to go out there and just to literally let myself go wild. There's no greater feeling in the world. I used to love, man, and being in the back and pouring ice cold water on myself. When I'd hear that Feed Me More hit, it was just like getting just to experience a whole other level of excitement day after day. And that's what I miss. That's my drug that I really miss. And you can't quite duplicate that outside of the wrestling business. But I had to get my health back. And I've been blessed. I needed a 5-disc fusion and shoulder replacement over and over again. And the people that have heard it a million times, I'm sorry. So many people are not aware of why I ultimately walked out, and not even knowing it at the time, just knowing I was hurt and they were giving me cortisone and Toradol, which actually caused even more of my problems that I have, specifically my shoulder. And I got to take the blame for trusting them on that. But we have done the impossible. I've regrown 5-disc. We have fixed my shoulder. The amount of work I put in every week on this and getting 3-hour massages for scar tissue that hurts like a mother, and in all my rehab and my lacrosse, my softball, rolling on my softball, and the training every day and getting my weight training back to where it's at is a win in itself. Because I was in a bad way. So, not to mention Feed Me More Nutrition, guys. We started with 3 supplements. We're going to be coming out with our 12th supplement, my 1-2-3 muscle tendon joint support, guys, here in the next 8 weeks. And I'm so thankful for all of you guys that have helped support Feed Me More Nutrition on feedmemore.com. All during COVID, I started giving out thousands of dollars as a thank you, as a promotional deal for the company. And right now, we're giving out $4,000 for our Halloween Feed Me More Nutrition giveaway. And on Halloween Day, on Saturday, October 31st, I'm going to be PayPaling somebody $4,000 for simply going to feedmemore.com using discount code Halloween4000. You get 20% off your order. You also get an option for a free shaker bottle and wristband, and which I'm also going to be thinking about making the towels. We got the new yellow and white towels in as well. And but you get a free shaker bottle and wristband if you select it. You get 20% off, and each purchase is an automatic entry. So check out feedmemore.com, guys. We are running wild. Industry sector as we continue to grow. And I thank all possible to get the company to where it is. You guys helped the company survive that initial period where it cost a lot of money. There was a lot more money going out than coming in. And you helped me build momentum in getting outside people as I learned marketing and selling and search engine optimization and learning how to properly get a website put together and how to get all these little things over the last few years from doing everything all by myself, having my own fulfillment center in Chicago, outside of Chicago, having a customer support team, and having multiple people that work for me that have been such a part of this what I would call success where we're at right now. And it's going to be way more successful. Every year is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. Thank you guys, because it's something I'm really passionate about. I'm very passionate about health and fitness and having a positive, healthy mindset. And I couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you guys very much. Looks like we got to go ahead and put a user in a timeout here. Don't make me slap your wrist. Usually I'll just block you, but I slapped you on the wrist there, buddy. Let's go ahead and address this. Yeah, this has happened. So I saw a video on YouTube with title Ryback Can Never Be Goldberg. In that video, a clip of a match between you and Tenzai. You try to lift Tenzai for Shell Shock, but you failed to lift him. What you think on that, I presume? Absolutely on that. That was I've lifted Tenzai multiple times with ease, and he's a very large guy. that one you're referencing was on Raw, and a lot of people wanted to say, "Oh, he sandbagged me." I don't even care. I've known Tenzai long enough that, is it possible somebody in the WWE wanted him to? I don't know. I'll never know the answer to that. But I got along with him really well, where I don't think he would lie to me. And if he ever did, I would be really, really disappointed. But I also was extremely sick, and there's no excuses. I just couldn't get him up. I was actually picking guys up over my head, kind of throwing them over my head, which was actually bad for my neck doing that. So I stopped, and I started picking guys up. Like I eventually picked Tenzai up that match, or failed to that match. But I hadn't been practicing picking guys up at that time that way. And I just simply – I loaded him too high, where I needed to get down lower into his waist. And he has a very large stomach area. So I was not able to kind of get in that good area on him to get down. And again, when I referenced being sick, I had a really difficult time breathing that night. And I didn't have the normal strength that I had. And it was one of those deals. It was my fault at the end of the day. And it was, you got to remember, I did power move after power move. Thousands of attempts, and you can literally count probably only 2 or 3 times that something like that happened. One happened with Heyman, trying to pick Heyman up, where I should have picked him up like Tenzai on a live event. And then the one with Tenzai. And then I think there was one other moment something happened, not on Shell Shock, but there was something. It might have been like Seth came off the top rope like a crossbody, and this was like dark, I think, where usually I would catch him night after night after night, and I like stumbled. Like we fell to my one knee, but I held on to him, and we pulled it off perfectly. Like I would count that as maybe like kind of a mess up on my end. But I did thousands of power moves successfully that people have to reference like the same 1 or 2 over and over. I was like, that don't work. If it was something that happened time and time again, but it's you could go back, you look at Goldberg, and I would say that you would find a lot of mess ups on things. So. And people, Brock Lesnar, another guy that's a freak of nature, he fell on his ass picking up Big Show before. And I'm sure he got shit from it from people that give him shit online. People fall when you're doing real things in real speed. Things don't always go as planned. But we literally, boom, clothesline, 1, 2, 3, and business is done. And then I picked him up like 3 or 4 more times after that, because Vince and them wanted to make sure we got it in people's minds that I could pick him up easily, and we did. So, and it didn't hurt anything momentum-wise as far as the crowd reactions or anything like that. You got to remember, I picked up 2 guys for months on end, 2 times a week for months, for like 4 and 5 months, like, which is unheard of. And not once did that ever go bad. So I'm pretty okay with it. Who's spamming? We'll put them in timeout. Put somebody in timeout. I like putting people in timeout. Slapped your wrist. But anyways, guys, we're approaching the hour mark. I like to keep these as an hour. I got to go hop in the hot tub, get a little sun. Seeing if there's any other questions. Yes, Ricky, I know him well. I'm hoping we get him on the podcast for AEW. But anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Follow me on Twitch at Ryback Rules. We stream a little bit at night, and I do these Ryback morning chats over there, which I'm thinking I may be eventually doing the Ryback show. And maybe I do my morning chats, but I do the Ryback show live once a week. And I have my thought of the week and everything, a little more formatted structure. And we put that out on the audio every week. I think that may be the route we may be going, because the YouTube is starting to really take off again. And I feel like the interaction is better doing a live show. So with that, guys, I want you to remember today as I leave you that I get to over I have to. And what I mean by that is when we say the words I get to wake up, I get to go work out, I get to go to work, I get to get dressed, I get to enjoy, a nice ice cold beverage, I get to eat food, I get to be alive, over I have to go do this, I have to go do that. It changes your mindset to being grateful and appreciative. It's not always easy. It takes practice over and over and over and over again. Happiness is a choice, but happiness must be practiced. It's not that you just all of a sudden are happy. You have to practice these things that will allow you to appreciate life and be grateful, and you will start to see an improvement in your life, I promise you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you guys for listening to my Ryback morning chat. Feed me more.